What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 117 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Friday, October 24th, 2025. I'm your host, Zach Malum, but before we get started, please subscribe below, follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of basketball as the New York Knicks are in action tonight, a 7:30 start at MSG, and a big matchup it is. They take on the Boston Celtics, and the Knicks come into this game as 3.5-point favorites, total sitting at 230.5. A lot of injuries to go around tonight, especially on the Knicks side. When you look at Josh Hart, game time decision, Mitchell Robinson already been ruled out for this one. OG Anunoby as well as Karl Anthony Towns are both game time decisions for New York. On the other side, Luka Garza is out for the Celtics. And of course, Jason Tatum probably out for most, if not all, of this season after the torn Achilles in the playoffs against the Knicks a season ago. The Knicks have to control things once again. They had a great win in their season opener against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday evening, and it was all Knicks throughout. I think the big talking points was the Knicks at the free throw line. They had 36 free throws compared to 18 for Cleveland, and they made their free throws, 31 of 36 from the line compared to 12 of 18 on the Cleveland side. That's really the difference in the game right there with a 8-point victory. The other thing that stood out was the dominance down low for this Knicks team. They have a lot of size to go around, and even when you're without a couple of guys that get a lot of rebounds, Josh Hart being one of them, Mitchell Robinson really the big one, and you're still able to dominate in the paint, 42-30 in points in the paint, and they also dominated the rebounding battle, 48-32, including 9 offensive rebounds for the Knicks. So they really did their good work down low, and that was the difference in the game. They got into the paint, they drew fouls, they got to the free throw line, and that's really what you're looking for in this Mike Brown regime. You're looking for good defense on one end, which the Knicks had so-so in this game. They had some stretches where Donovan Mitchell would go on a tear and really take over in the game, but the Knicks really rallied on the offensive side of things, and in a bad game where really you're not shooting great, 43% from the field, 35% from beyond the arc, and you still put up 119 points. That's a great sign of how good this offense can be. One of the best offenses in all of basketball. That's what you're expecting with Mike Brown as the coach. He's looking to get into the lane and dish out for open threes. That's really what he looks for, and he counted it up, actually. They had 20 of them in the opening game. He's looking for about 25 of them each and every game for this Knicks team. So you're liking what you're seeing on the offensive side from the Knicks in this opening game against Cleveland. Can they continue that? They're going up against the Celtics team now that had a rough loss in the season opener in a game that they felt like they probably should have won, where they had the lead for the most part, but VJ Edgecombe and the Philadelphia 76ers end up getting a huge win on the road to start the season at 1-0, and it was a 117-116 victory with a last gasp for the Celtics in that game, and they cannot get it to go, and the Celtics fall to 0-1 in what should be probably a rough season for Boston. You're not expecting them to really challenge at the top of the Eastern Conference, although the East is completely wide open. You never know, and a win like this against the Knicks, maybe they can take a step towards being a contender once again in the East. But without Jason Tatum, their star player for most of, if not all of this season, you really don't like Boston's chances to really challenge in the East, but we'll see what happens with that. As for tonight, though, a 7:30 start, and you're expecting the Knicks to really bounce off of that win against Cleveland with much better shooting from beyond the arc. That's what you're looking for. The three-point shot has to be falling in a Mike Brown offense, and that's what you're looking for tonight. The Knicks take on the Celtics. It should be a great one. Two of the top teams in the Eastern Conference in recent years. Boston looking to stay there even without Jason Tatum, but we'll see what happens tonight. A 7:30 start at MSG. 1-0 Knicks, the 0-1 Celtics. Make sure you tune in later. Let's shift things to the world of football as both of your teams are in action this weekend. We'll start things down in Philly as the New York Giants take on the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday at 1 o'clock, and the Eagles come into this game as 7.5-point favorites, total sitting at 43.5. And this one should be real interesting considering a couple of weeks ago, the Giants completely trounced the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. 34-17 it was at MetLife Stadium. Can the Giants replicate that? There's been a lot that's gone on since then, especially on the Giants side. A disaster of a loss a week ago against Denver where their defense completely let them down. Of course, the big talking point in that game as well was Jackson Dart's interception, which cannot happen at that moment in time with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Completely let Denver back in the game, and the Giants lose a heartbreaker 33-32. But they have to bounce back from that, and they have to also replicate, like I said, a couple of weeks ago, they gave Philly the business, and Philly's looking for some revenge on Sunday. And this Sunday, they have to really get going early. The Eagles do. I think the big talking point is what Saquon Barkley wasn't able to do in that Thursday night game. Only 12 carries for 58 yards, 12 carries, his second fewest of the season. The only other game was the loss the week before to Denver, where the Giants, you look at it, probably took Denver's game plan into that Thursday night game on a short week, said, okay, completely control the run game, and then you should be in good shape. The Giants did that, and on their own side, the run game was what worked very, very well against Philadelphia. Cam Scatterbo, 19 carries, 98 yards, 3 tutties on the ground in that game. Jackson Dart as well, 13 carries, 58 yards, and a touchdown with his legs. He also had a passing touchdown to Wan'Dale Robinson in that game, and 34-17 is really not what anybody expected heading into that Thursday night game. I think in this one, Philly's looking for its revenge. They have to get Saquon Barkley going. They did so last week, even though it did not really lead to a lot of efficiency. 18 carries, 44 yards. He also had a reception for -2 yards, but looking to get him involved. Still a question if A.J. Brown's going to play into this game. He is questionable with an injury, so that's going to be a big talking point heading in. We'll see what happens with that, but if A.J. Brown cannot go, Saquon Barkley has to be the dude. He has to be the number one option in that offense, and the Giants did not do well against the run a week ago. You would say, yeah, the Giants didn't do well anywhere. Passing game, running game. They couldn't stop Bo Nix in the passing game, especially on that last drive, slinging the ball all around, and Denver ends up hitting the game-winning field goal. But they were horrible in the run game as well. Their run defense, which has been really solid so far this year, allowed 142 yards on the ground in a game where Denver is playing catch-up for most of it. 142 yards on the ground is not good enough from this Giants defense. So they have to really lock things down there. And if you're Philly, you're saying, we're going straight at that run defense and attacking you from the beginning. I think this game is all about the run games and the run defense. Saquon Barkley on one side, you got Cam Scatterbo on the other side for the Giants, attacking the Philly run defense, which has not been great this year, especially in the absence of one Jalen Carter. Still a question if he's going to play in this game. If he does, then that's really advantage Philly in the run game. So we'll see what happens. It should be a great matchup. The Giants against the Eagles, part 2 of this season, and the Giants at 2-5 now. They should be 3-4. They are looking desperately for a win to really keep their playoff hopes alive, keep this season alive, and keep Brian Daboll's job alive. That's a big talking point heading into these next couple weeks. If he wins some games, then you're starting to see that Jackson Dart and Brian Daboll is a good pairing for the Giants' future. I think a lot of it has to come down to these next couple weeks. Some tough opponents, and they have to really respond. The Giants take on the Eagles this one Sunday at 1 o'clock. And let's move things to the other side of New York, as not at MetLife Stadium, but out in Cincinnati. It's going to be the New York Jets taking on the Cincinnati Bengals Sunday at 1 o'clock as well. And the Bengals come into this game as 6.5-point favorites, total sitting at 44.5. And the Jets 0-7, can't be much worse. Bengals 3-4, coming off of a really great win, a divisional win against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football a week ago. And Joe Flacco at quarterback looking pretty good so far. They had that loss against the Green Bay Packers a couple weeks before that, but you saw a bounce back and a completely new offense in that game against Pittsburgh, where Cincinnati was slinging the ball around. Joe Flacco, 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He's just the fourth quarterback in NFL history with that exact stat line over the age of 40. So that's a interesting talking point heading in. Can the Jets get their defensive line to get to the pocket? Joe Flacco, not a moving quarterback, although he did show his legs for a little bit a week ago. But I think when you look at it, this Jets team on the defensive side has to step up. They have to lock down guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who can really get going in a hurry. The big problem for the Jets, they're going to be without their top two guys, and Sauce Gardner out for this game due to a concussion. Garrett Wilson out for this game due to a knee injury. Those are two massive losses, and that's why the Bengals sit as 6.5-point favorites. They have to completely trounce the Jets in this game. If you're on the Jets side, you're looking for any sort of motivation. On the offensive side of the ball, it looks most likely that Tyrod Taylor will be taking the ball, and he will be the starting quarterback for the Jets in this game. Justin Fields got benched a week ago at halftime after an abysmal performance once again in the first half. That's the big thing for the Jets as well, and this offense. Get some confidence early. Show up in the first half, because the Jets have been the worst team in football in the first half this season on the offensive side of the ball. It has not even been close. They've really struggled, especially since week 2. The week 1 game against Pittsburgh, they had a great first half, 19 first half points. They got everybody involved. Garrett Wilson had a huge touchdown, and Justin Fields looked great at quarterback with his legs, with his arm. Ever since then, I don't even know what happened to this Jets offense. There's been nothing to be excited about of the Jets' first half offense. It has to change now. Tyrod Taylor getting the ball early and starting the game instead of coming in late, I think, can get this Jets offense going. They're going up against the Bengals defense that is not good. The Bengals defense has been really bad for years and years, so the Jets have a chance, if they get this offense going, to look really good on Sunday. They have to have their top weapons really stand out, though. And Mason Taylor, who's questionable for this game, is one of them. They have to get the tight end involved. You saw a week ago what the tight ends of the Steelers were able to do to this Bengals defense. And Breece Hall. I mean, Breece Hall has to be the guy, especially in this game where you're without Garrett Wilson, you're without really any top guy to go to on the offensive side of the ball. How do you not give the ball to Breece in this game? He has to get touches in the red zone. He has to get touches all over the field. Give him some catches out of the backfield. If Breece Hall does not have 15 to 20 carries in this game and probably 4 to 5 catches, it's a disappointment for the Jets. That's just what it is right now. He's the only option that they can really rely on, and they just continue to not give him the ball. I think Breece needs to be the number one go-to guy in this offense this week if the Jets want any chance of not getting blown out in this game. And really, straight to it. The Bengals offense can put up points. They've done so every single week, and Joe Flacco looks like he's gotten a complete rhythm now with his receivers in Higgins and Chase. But really, the Jets have to respond to that. Tyrod Taylor has to sling the ball all around. They also have to get Breece Hall involved. If they don't do that, this is just going to be another long day, and the Jets will be 0-8. They'll probably be 0-8 anyways after this game, but you're looking for some sort of confidence in this offense. The defense has showed up back-to-back weeks. 13 points in back-to-back weeks they've led up. That's pretty good compared to what it was a couple of weeks before that, the first 5 weeks of the year, over 31 points per game. So the defense has been much better. They are missing Sauce Gardner for this game. That's a massive loss, especially going up against one of the league's best in Jamar Chase. So he's probably going to have a field day. The Jets have to respond to that as well. You really have to get this defense and the secondary to really step up in this game. It's all about them, and it's all about this Jets offense getting going, keeping up with the Bengals on the other side of the ball, and we'll see what happens. Let's finish things off today with the new edition of a Sunday football preview. If you're new to this, each week I'll pick a couple of the top games across the NFL slate and share my thoughts on them. Not a great week in terms of the NFL slate, but I picked a couple games, and we'll start things off out in Baltimore as the 1-5 Baltimore Ravens, they host the 4-2 Chicago Bears Sunday at 1 o'clock. And Baltimore comes into this game as 6.5-point favorites, total sitting at 49.5. And you might be saying, how in the world the 1-5 Ravens are 6.5-point favorites against the Chicago Bears, who are 4-2 on a 4-game win streak? Well, Lamar Jackson's returning. He's been out the last month due to a hamstring injury, and he's going to return. He was a full participant in practice today, and he should be getting going for Sunday. So the Ravens get their quarterback back for this one, trying him out to come back in the AFC North after a lot of losses since Lamar's injury, and the Ravens have to really take care of business here. I know Chicago's looked pretty good recently, 4-game win streak, but I would say a couple of those games definitely against some of the bottom barrel teams in the NFL. They took down Las Vegas, they took down New Orleans, and the offense looked really good. I still don't trust their defense. They won a tight game against Washington on the road, where their defense, probably stepped up in the end with that fumble recovery. They were that fumble away from losing that game. Of course, Washington couldn't hold on to the ball at the end of that one, had a chance to close it out, but give credit to the Bears defense that stepped up in that moment. They also had a close game against Las Vegas where they allowed 24 points to Vegas's offense, who's done nothing this year. They still ended up winning that game on the road, but I don't trust Chicago's defense, and I don't trust them against Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense that will be very high-powered. Trust me, their defense has been horrible this year. I get it. But their offense is so elite when Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are standing in the backfield. And that's what I expect in this game. I expect them to run all over this Bears defense. A lot of rushing yards have come against this Bears defense recently. I expect that to continue. They've also allowed one of the opposing wide receivers to go off in really every one of their games this season. I think Zay Flowers could have a big matchup against the Bears this weekend. Give me the Ravens 6.5-point favorites. They're all the way up there for a reason with Lamar Jackson at home against a struggling defense, you would say, in the end for Chicago. So I would take the Ravens in this game. As for the total, 49.5. I mean, the Ravens defense has been abysmal all season long. The Bears defense, I just talked about it, they've been really weak, even though they're on that 4-game win streak. I would look at the over for that game. I think that's almost really as close as you can get to a lock. Of course, a lot of people would say, well, it's too predictable. Of course, you got to take the over in this game. I think these defenses have no chance in this one. I think it's just the right move in the end. I do expect it to be high scoring, and I expect the Ravens to win this game by more than a touchdown. So we'll see what happens on that one. Make sure you tune into that on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And to finish it off, we have the night game. Sunday Night Football. It doesn't get much better than this. Jordan Love on one side, Aaron Rodgers on the other side. You don't hear that too often as the Green Bay Packers take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sunday Night Football, 8:20 start. It's the Packers who come into this game as 2.5-point favorites, total sitting at 45.5. One Micah Parsons on the Green Bay side, TJ Watt on the other side. Should be a great matchup between two of the top teams in the NFL so far this season, but give me the Packers and Jordan Love to go on the road and win a tough game against a Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers team that's looking probably for revenge. Aaron Rodgers himself looking for revenge. He may say he's not against the Packers, but I think he is. This is a big game for him. He did great in the last time he was looking for revenge against the New York Jets. I do think he's going to have a solid game once again against the Packers, but he did not face in that game against the Jets somebody named Micah Parsons, and I think Micah Parsons will have his stamp on this Sunday Night Football game. He always steps up in prime time, and I think the Packers with Jordan Love, just trust him more at quarterback and to get the job done more than the Steelers offense, where it's been a little bit up and down. You have some good weeks, you have some bad weeks. I do look at this Packers offense plus their defense, which has been consistently good this year. They've had a couple bumps in the road, but I still trust them in the end. And I think off of a couple of straight wins, they end up winning this game on the road in Pittsburgh. Tough game on Sunday night in the prime time, but give me Jordan Love and the Packers to get the job done. 2.5-point favorites against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Should be interesting. Make sure you tune into all the games on the NFL slate, and we'll recap them on Monday's episode. But that will do it for episode 117 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, and thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Monday.